The draft will be here before you know it. And the
Whoa.
Vikings are up to something. They're up to something. The news came out of the blue on Friday morning.
They are up to something.
A second first-round pick. They have pick number 23. Now, look, there's two reasons to acquire a first-round pick. You're either going to use it, by that I mean turn in a name on it, or you're going to use it by way of package it and trade it.
Right.
And there's no reason to take that pick before it's on the clock. If there's somebody you want at number 23, if they've worked their board and they're like, you know what, at number 23, this is who we want. That we want this guy, and we know he's going to be there, and we want to have the 23rd pick. You don't make that trade until you're damn sure that guy's going to be there. This isn't a trade for a player. This is a trade for ammunition. They're going to package 11 and 23 and other stuff if they have to, and they're going to move up, or at least they're going to try to. And I can't imagine them going out there and getting that pick without having a damn good idea, Chris, that they're going to be able to move up. I can't imagine that happening.
No,
you don't put that
agree.
piece in place unless you've gotten indications that one of these teams in the top 4 or 5 is willing to trade out of that spot.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I would think there could be a number of teams in that spot that are looking to trade out of that spot and maybe acquire picks, right? I mean, whether they had to move up a spot with the Jets, whether they had to move up to the spot who just took their quarterback at number 8 of the Falcons. Maybe, okay, hey, there's a quarterback there. We want him. But, I mean, with you 100%. I mean, the first thing I thought of was a little bit of the conversation we had last week, right? You know, one of the things I kind of, that second day coming in, letting them ruminate a little bit about, wow, they let Kirk Cousins, like you talked about just last segment. You know, you don't know what you're going to get in the draft. You don't know. They had a guy that was a damn good player. I know not a superstar, but he was damn good, and they let him out the door that way. You know, this is a move to me where when this happened, I went, oh, yeah, the pressure's on now. You know, like we talked about, you let a guy that's top 10, top 12 out the door at quarterback, right, for a price tag that was expensive but not crazy in this day and age of where we are in the salary cap. Yeah, everybody's going to be looking at you now. What are you going to be doing at quarterback? What's it going to look like? Is it going to be better? Is Kirk Cousins going to ball out in Atlanta and make you guys look silly? So I feel like they're being aggressive because they feel the pressure of the situation they put themselves in.
Okay, so
yeah,
what is the next move then? There's no way they're going to try to trade up to number 1. There's no way the Bears are going to trade the number 1 overall pick to the Vikings. It's just not going to happen.
No.
And number
2, not either.
3,
number 2's not happening either.
Right.
I don't think that's right.
Unless they don't. I don't know what Adam Peters, Dan Quinn, and Cliff Kingsbury are going to ultimately decide to do. But if they would have to decide they don't want Jaden Daniels.
Yes.
To move out of that spot.
Right.
If they want Jaden Daniels, he's your guy. As you said, run to the podium with the card and do that. And I don't know how much the Vikings would have to put on the table to get them to say, we'd rather have all of these other picks and improve our team with more chances to get winning long-term contributors to the franchise. It's kind of like the flip side of what happened with the RG3 trade in 2012, where they moved up to number 2. They gave up all those picks, and the Rams used them to, remember that Les Snead dominate with Washington's picks. They wrote it on the chalkboard. Like, that became a call to arms for the Rams in the aftermath of that trade. The Patriots at 3 were the first one I thought of. Now, they may be determined to get a quarterback too, but, you know, old Patriots, Belichick Patriots, more likely to trade out of that spot. Gerard Mayo, Elliott Wolf Patriots, I don't know that they trade out of that spot. I don't know what it takes, but the 49ers, 3 years ago, it was the 12th overall pick, 2 additional first-rounders, and a third-rounder to go to 3. This is 11. Another first-rounder this year, not a future first-rounder. There's value in that. 2 first-rounders this year, not a first-rounder this year, next year, and the year after. 2 first-rounders this year. What else would you have to put on that pile? And first of all, the Patriots would have to be willing to say, we'll take those picks in lieu of taking the third quarterback off the board, presumably the first quarterback after Caleb Williams and Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, well, to go to 11 to 3, I would think you'd have to give something like the 49ers gave, right, to go there a few years ago, which is ultimately, it would be the 2 picks this year, right? And probably a first rounder next year to get up that high, right? But agreed with you that that's where the conversation opens up. So you look at 3, 4, and 5, and honestly, you look at 6. And honestly, 7 and 8. They're all, I think, trade possibilities to move up there in that little area. The Titans got their quarterback. They're good there. We know the Falcons got theirs. The Giants now with Daniel Jones and Drew Lock are set. The Cardinals got Kyler Murray. The Patriots, yeah, we'll see. It by all due accounts seems like they need a quarterback really bad, right? The Cardinals are the team I do look at to go, I could see GM Monty Ossenfort, right? He came from New England. He was there all those years when Belichick always traded down and did that. They got 3 picks in the top 35. He'd be one I'd go, he'd trade down and go, I'll take another first. I'll take 3 first rounders this year and then, or 5 picks in the top 35. I wouldn't be shocked there, but I think around 4 is where you start to look at, wow, business is open for sure for quarterback trade, I should say.
But here's the reality.
Yeah.
What if they go off the board, quarterback, who's left
at
number 4? Who are you trading up for? At some point, you're going to run out of guys. Like, remember when the 49ers did it in 21, we're like, okay, they know Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson are 1 and 2. They're trading for the opportunity to have the first quarterback after those 2. Who's it going to be? Mac Jones, Justin Fields, or Trey Lance? All of whom,
yeah,
all of them. We talked about that last segment. It just didn't work out. But they wanted that opportunity to be the team that picks the first quarterback after the first 2 that we knew. People want to drag you about Zach Wilson. He was the consensus number 2 pick. You weren't out on some crazy limb. Everybody had him as the number 2 pick. It was Lawrence and it was Wilson, period. And then the draft started after that. That's where the Vikings would be if they trade up with the Patriots. Williams, Daniels.
Yeah.
And then they go whichever way they want. Bo Nix, J.J. McCarthy, Michael Penix Jr., Drake May. Who knows who they want? Who knows which guy Kevin O'Connell envisions as the guy who would be the best fit for their offense, the guy with the highest ceiling, the guy who could be better for them than Kirk Cousins ever was. I don't know. But they apparently think somebody is, and they got a chance to get him, or they wouldn't have gone out and picked up a second first-round pick.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Or at least it tells you that they feel comfortable with either quarterback 4, 5, or 6, right? That would be available still. And that they're willing, okay, if we got to trade up a little bit to get, a J.J. McCarthy, a Penix, a Bo Nix, whoever it may be that's left over there, Drake May, and again, my thoughts. I think Drake May is a little bit of a project, but either way, that would tell me they feel comfortable, because I think, again, like to your point, if you're doing that, you got to be able to realistically go, well, there's a good chance, like you talked about in prior years, but this is even different. 1, 2, and 3, the quarterback's off the board. All right, so now do we like 4, 5, and 6? As far as those quarterbacks that are involved in this first round conversation, and I think with that move there, they're kind of telling you that they do. They do like that, and they're willing to make a move to get whoever's left over there to help their football team.
I just wonder how much their urgency to replace Kirk Cousins is skewing their assessment of the quarterback.
I hear you.
I hear you.
The pressure
about that.
The pressure.
You can't let yourself say, "Ooh, I like that guy. Ooh, I like that guy. Ooh, I like that guy." I just need one of them, and we need to hope that we can turn him into a great player, because we need to justify not paying Kirk Cousins.
There's 2 thoughts around the league right now, Mike, with Minnesota, right, that I hear. And it's one of, hey, like, good job they got rid of Kirk Cousins, right? He's real good, but he's not great. And, what he asks for money always kind of, hurts the football team that way, which I don't really totally buy, right? I mean, that last contract was not hurting their football team by any, I'm not into that one. But there's that thought. And then when I talk to other people, Mike, it's like, I can't believe they just let Kirk Cousins walk out the door for nothing and let him go and didn't make a competitive offer, right? So there's 2 sides of that, story there, and the NFL views it in certain ways. And I just got to think Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah feels the pressure of that And especially with probably his head coach going, I can't believe we just let go that guy, the guy that throws for 4,200 yards and, has a good quarterback rating and makes all these plays every year. We just let him go and we don't know who's going to replace him. So I would think he's feeling that for sure.
The book on Kirk Cousins won't be complete until we know how the season ends.
Yeah.
He can come out and throw for 400 yards a game. He can throw for 5 touchdowns a game. The Falcons can win the NFC South running away. The question is what happens in that first playoff game. That's where all the attention, all the pressure will be, because if he goes one and done, it validates what the Vikings did. Because I feel like, and I've criticized them in the past, is just good enough for the Vikings, because it just felt like for years, if we're in the conversation, if we make it to the playoffs every other year, every third year, that's good enough. If we're in it every year, that's good enough. That's good enough. This is a move by them to bust that mold, and they feel like they have to get a franchise quarterback, and they're confident that one of the reasons Cousins played so well last year and the year before was because of O'Connell. And they're confident that O'Connell is going to take whatever lump of clay they drop in front of him and sculpt it into a guy that's going to be a franchise quarterback. Maybe he feels like he could do it with all of them. Maybe any of the top quarterbacks. He could do it. We'll find out. That's going to be the great test this year between Minnesota and Atlanta. What does Cousins do? What does O'Connell do with whoever they draft, and how quickly do they get him ready? For now, it's Sam Darnold. Kwesi Adofo-Mensah declined to call him a bridge quarterback when they met with reporters on Thursday. If they move up and draft a quarterback, Sam Darnold is clearly a bridge quarterback, and it might be a pretty short bridge to the next guy. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.